Hi, the purpose of this video is to explain this tool called a shape map that will help us to retell a story. So the first thing I notice is that there are three shapes. And when I look at it, I see a triangle, a square, and a circle. And I also noticed that there are three different colors. And those colors kind of remind me of something that I see when I'm out driving, a traffic light. And remembering what I know about a traffic light also helps me to use this shape map as I'm retelling a story. So for example, the green triangle, I know green means go. And so that's where I start to retell a story. And that's called the beginning of the story. Then the yellow is in the middle of the story. And yellow reminds me that I need to slow down. And there's usually quite a few things I need to remember in the middle of the story. Then the next part is the red circle. And I know that red means stop. And that reminds me that this is going to be the end of the story as I retell. Now, there's some more things that you need to know about these shapes. In the green triangle, when I'm retelling, I'm going to find out the setting of the story or where the story is happening. Sometimes I'll find out when it's happening also. The next thing I'm going to be learning at the beginning of the story are the names of the characters. And sometimes I learn other character names as I move through the middle of the story, but we usually learn the main characters' names here at the beginning. And then as we keep reading, we find out what the problem is in the story, and sometimes it'll be what the goal of the main character is as we read the story. Next, we move into the middle where we are going to be, and because it's a square, it reminds me that there are how many corners in a square? One, two, three, four. You're right, there are four. So normally when I'm retelling a story, I'm going to have four main events that happen in the middle of that story. And then when I get to the red circle, I'm going to be at the end of my story. And as I tell what's happening at the end, the problem that we learned about up in the beginning usually gets solved and we have a solution and the story wraps up and comes to an end. So this is the end of the story or where the story stops, and that is what you need to know in order to use a shape map as a tool to retell stories. Now, before I end this video, I want to share this picture with you that shows a shape map. And what you can do is you can pause your video and you can take a screenshot, and this will be a nice tool for you to use then that you can look at that reminds you when you're retelling that you will include the setting, the characters, and the problem or goal that happens at the beginning of the story. You'll retell the middle of the story by telling one, two, three, four events that take place in order. And then you wrap up the story at the end by telling what happens as the solution and how the story ends. So that's everything you need to know as you're using the shape map for retelling. Happy retelling!